So hello everyone and welcome to the next video, and in here we are going to solve next question in our series, and which is gas station. So this is a very interesting question, and let's directly understand this question what is it about. So this question is states that we are given a integer array gas. We are given an integer array gas and an integer array cost, and now it is stating that let's assume it is been in a circular path. So gas is in a circular path. These all are stations for to refill our car, and these are the stations, and we have given the cost. So cost is the value which has been or amount of gas which is required in our car to move from one index or one station to another station. So in first example, you can see that the gas at the first stoppage is given 1, at second it is given 2, third is given 3, fourth is given 4, and fifth is given 5. So these are the amount of gas present at each gas station, and the cost is the amount of gas required to move from one station to another. So if you want to move from 1 to 2, so cost is equals to 3, or gas required in your car is 3. Next is given 4, and another is given 5, then it is given 1, then it is given 2. Now what is question stating that what you have to do, you have to find the index. You have to find the index which is the position of a gas station from which if you begin your journey, then when you move in a clockwise direction, you can reach at the same gas station, and you do not lose any you do not find yourself in any situation where your gas is empty or your gas is not eligible to move to the next station. So if you are successfully able to move to where you have started, then it is our answer, and it is guaranteed that our if solution exists, if the index exists, then it is unique, and if not, we are going to turn -1. So this is the question, and so let's see with example how it is going to work. Now in here the answer is 3, that is the third index. So let's understand with the third index how it is going to work. So our third index is this, has the value 4. That means this gas station has 4 amount of gas which he can refill, and it is also given that car has unlimited amount of gas which he can refill, and from a starting point it has 0. So let's assume you are starting with 0 amount, and when you are at the third index, then you refill your car with the 4 gas. That means your car now have 4 amount of gas. Now if you move to the next index in clockwise direction, which is this fifth one, then it cost 1. That means 1 amount of gas is going to reduce from your car. So when your car move from 4 to 5, then your car is left with 3. So your car contains 3 amount of gas. Now when you try to move to the next index, then before that what you can do, you can take all of the gas present at this index. So at this index, what is the total amount of gas which he can refill, which is 5. So your amount becomes 5, 3 plus 5, which is equals to 8. So when you reach to this gas station, the total amount of gas in your car is 8. Now when you move to the next index, that is the first one, then what is the cost to move to this index? It is 2. So 2 is reduced, and your car is left with 6. 6 amount of gas. And when you add the first index, so it can give you the maximum of 1 unit of gas. So your gas amount equals to 6 plus 1, which is equals to 7. So that's how our car is going to move. So it can successfully come to the this index, which is the third index, and it is our output. So this is the whole scenario how it is working. So now what we can say, so we can move to our, now let's move to our solution part and the different approaches. So the first approach which you can think is the brute force approach, in which was what you are going to do, you are going to run a for loop, and you are going to check for each and every gas station that if it is a possible solution. If you get the possible solution, you return that index, and if you cannot, you return -1. But this is going to be take a very long time, which is going to be n square, and it is going to give you TLE. Now let's understand situation, what is the important concept in here which you have to understand. So let's assume these are the stations: A, B, C, D, E. Now let's assume you are starting from the first index, which is A, and you move to B, and you are able to successfully move because you have the sufficient amount of gas in your car. Now when you try to move to C, you find out that the sufficient amount to move to C is not sufficient, so you cannot move to C. So in this case, you can assume we can say that A is not going to be our starting point, and then you are going to check for the B. But here is the catch, that B is also not the starting point, and this is the important concept. So let's understand why. So let's assume you are moving from A to B, and the minimum amount of gas which can be left in your car in situation is going to be 0, because if it is less than 0 then you cannot move. So we are taking the minimum. So in this condition, when it is minimum which is 0, so you can say that it is similar to the situation where you are starting from B, because when you are starting from any station, the starting gas in your car is 0. So in this condition also it is 0, so you can assume that it is similar to starting from B. So B is also not our solution. So when you try to move to A, we can move to B and we cannot move to C. That means that A and B are not going to be our solution, and we move our and we cannot move to C. That means C is also not our solution because we are not able to move to C. So the next possible solution is going to be D. So what we are going to do, we are going to change our index, which is our possible answer, which are possible answer, which we have taken first A to D, and we are going to do the same. So whenever we find out that we are not able to move to that index, that means all the indexes or all the gas station before it is not the possible starting point. So this is the approach which we are going to follow. Now let's understand how we are going to do it. So here you can see that we have taken the same example, which is gas and cost. So first what we are going to do, we are going to initialize L, which is going to be our size of our gas stations, where it is 5. So it is given directly 5, which is exactly the size. And we are taking a total difference, which is the cumulative difference between gas and cost. That means it is the overall difference additions which came in our path. So this is the total difference which is going to help in our final decision, and we you will see how. Now next is going to be our C, which is the cumulative difference, current cumulative difference. That means it is the difference between the amount of gas in your car and the amount of gas required to move to the next index difference. Next is our index, which is our answer, assumed answer. So let's as first we have assumed that we are starting from the zeroth index. So 0 is our solution. Now when let's start iterating. Now when you start from the first index, where you start from the first index and you try to the move to the second index. So what happens is that the car has one unit of gas, and it requires 3 units. So it doesn't have extra 2 unit to move to the next index. So what is going to be our current cumulative difference? It is going to be -2. So what we do first, we will increase our total difference because we are going to maintain for our whole loop. So we increase our total difference and we also increase our current difference. So our current difference is going to be -2, and by using this we are going to check if C is less than 0. Then we reset our C to 0 because we are going to start again, and we are going to update our index to 1 because now we are going to start from the next index, which is the first one. Now next again in the next second station, when you are at second station, what happens? We have the 2 amount of gas, and we require 4 amount of gas to move to the next station. So this is a similar condition where you have negative. So we again set C equals to 0 and update our index to 2. Now again when you check F for the third index, so what happens? We have the 3 amount of gas, we required 5 amount, so it is again less. So similarly what we do, we move our index to 4. So for 4 what we do, we will again check. Now here the situation changes. We have four amount of gas and we required one amount of gas to move to the next station. So we can do that. So let's see what happens. So when it is positive, we do this is we have to do this in all conditions. So because we are maintaining this for all situations or well all stations. So now what we do, we increase our c plus equals to difference, and we do minus 6 plus 3. Oh, so here is a minor mistake. It is 6 minus 3. This is going to be 3. So here you can see our c is greater than equal to 0. So what we do, we can continue without resting c or updating index. So here we are good to go and we continue, because here we can continue to move to the next station. Now in the fifth station, when you check gas minus cost, so we already have 5, and for this you require 2, so it is going to be 3. Now we have done same in this all the conditions, so we do this and again we update our c. So here c is going to be 0, which is greater than equal to 0. So what we do, we continue without resting. So now at this position our iteration stops and our index is stored at 3, because here we have changed our index to our third index. So our total difference came out to be 0. So if we run our condition, we check if our total difference is less. So if we find the total difference is less, then that implies that we are not able to move to any index. We are not able to start from any index and move to that index in any scenarios, because you can see if the cost amount is greater than the gas, that means the difference in every condition is less. That means if it is less than 0, if it is less than 0, that implies that we are not able to complete starting from any index. So in this condition we are going to return minus 1, and if we are able to, if it is greater than 0, then we are going to return the index which has been stored in our for. So now let's try to code this and understand more better. So as discussed, what we have to do, we have to take variables. So first take int, and let's take it uh, total difference is equals to 0. Our current difference is also going to be 0. We have taken index is equals to 0 also. So we are starting from 0th index. Now let's try to run. Now let's run the for loop. Print I equals to 0, I less than, and one thing also we have to take. Let's take L equals to gas dot size. You can also take cost dot size because the length is going to be same. So here you are going to take L I plus plus. Now what we have to do? So first we are going to check the difference. So we are going to check difference is going to be gas I minus cost I. Now what we have to do? We have, as we have seen that always we have to update this. So we have to do plus equals to def. Now we are going to do for the c plus equals to def. So here c is going to be negative, because in the first you can see that 2 minus 4 is going to be negative. So we have two situations to handle. First is positive, negative. So in positive we are going to continue, and in negative we have to reset. So let's take the condition to reset. So if c is less than 0, so what we have to do, we have to reset. First we take c equals to 0 and we increase our index. Now index is going to be I plus 1. Now finally what we have to do, we have to return, we are going to check the condition if total diff is less than 0. So what we have to do, if this is less than 0, then we are going to return minus 1. and if it is not, then we are going to return index. Now this is the code. Let's try to run this code. So this is accepted. Now let's submit this. So it is successfully submitted. So this is the very interesting question for today. Thank you all.